The arena exploded. Confetti cannons fired. And standing in the center of that ring, draped in gold, was the woman they said couldn't do it twice. Jade Cargill just captured her second championship, and if you thought her first title reign was impressive, you haven't seen anything yet. Before we break down every earth-shattering moment of this historic victory, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because we're bringing you the most incredible highlights you won't find anywhere else. Let's rewind to where this all began, because to understand the magnitude of what Jade Cargill just accomplished, you need to understand the mountain she had to climb. When she burst onto the scene with that undefeated streak, people called it luck. They called it booking. They said she was being protected, that she hadn't faced real competition, that her first championship run was a fluke built on smoke and mirrors. The critics were loud, the doubters were relentless, and the pressure to prove them wrong could have crushed anyone else. But Jade Cargill isn't anyone else. After losing her first title in what many called an upset, the narrative shifted overnight. Suddenly, all those people who claimed she was invincible were the same ones saying she was exposed. The internet wrestling community, that beautiful chaos of opinions and hot takes, declared her reign overrated. They said she couldn't adapt, couldn't evolve, couldn't handle adversity. They wrote think pieces about how her push was over, how she'd fade into the midcard, how she'd never reach those heights again. And you know what Jade did? She went silent. Not the kind of silence that signals retreat, but the dangerous kind. The kind that comes before a storm. For months, she recalibrated. She worked with new trainers, studied her losses frame by frame, and transformed her weaknesses into weapons. While everyone else was talking, Jade was preparing. She wasn't doing interviews defending her legacy or arguing with critics on social media. She was in the gym at 5 in the morning. She was running drills until her body screamed for mercy. She was visualizing this exact moment, seeing herself with that championship raised high, planning every detail of her comeback like a general preparing for war. The road back wasn't a straight line. She had to climb through contender matches where one mistake could derail everything. She faced opponents who wanted nothing more than to be the person who kept Jade Cargill down. Every match became a statement, every victory a middle finger to the doubters. And with each win, you could see the confidence building, not the cocky bravado she displayed during her first run, but something deeper, something earned. This was the confidence of someone who had tasted defeat and decided it would never happen again. Then came the announcement. The championship match was set, and when they revealed Jade's opponent, the wrestling world collectively gasped. This wasn't a tune-up match or a feel-good story. This was a defending champion who had run through the entire division, someone with technical mastery that had dismantled every challenger, someone who represented everything Jade supposedly lacked. The champion was a veteran with 15 years of experience, multiple title reigns across different promotions, and a reputation for making powerhouses look ordinary. On paper, this was supposed to be Jade's reality check. On paper, she had no business winning this match. The build-up was absolutely electric. Press conferences turned into psychological warfare. The champion did everything possible to get inside Jade's head, bringing up the loss of her first title, questioning whether she had the mental fortitude for championship-level competition, suggesting that her first reign was an accident that wouldn't be repeated. But here's what made it fascinating. Jade didn't take the bait. The old Jade might have exploded, might have let emotion dictate her responses. This new version? She smiled. She listened. And when it was her time to speak, she delivered promises so cold and calculated they gave everyone chills. She didn't make threats. She made prophecies. Fight night arrived, and the atmosphere was absolutely suffocating with tension. You could feel it through the screen, this sense that something monumental was about to happen. The champion entered first, and the ovation was deafening. This was someone the fans respected, someone who had earned their admiration through years of incredible performances. Then Jade's music hit, and the reaction was mixed, because even with her journey back, there were still doubters. Still people who wanted to see her fail. Still critics waiting to say I told you so. The bell rang, and what followed was 28 minutes of absolute warfare. The champion started fast, using speed and technique to stay one step ahead, targeting Jade's legs to neutralize her power advantage. Every chop block, every dragon screw, every calculated attack was designed to break down the foundation. And it was working. Jade went down to one knee multiple times in those opening minutes. The crowd started to believe the champion would retain. Even the commentators suggested Jade might be in over her head. But here's where you saw the evolution. Instead of panicking, instead of abandoning her game plan, Jade absorbed the punishment and adapted. She started timing the champion's attacks, catching kicks, countering takedown attempts with raw strength. When the champion went for a springboard maneuver, Jade caught her in midair and drove her into the mat with authority that shook the ring. The momentum shifted, and you could feel the entire building lean forward. What made this match extraordinary wasn't just the physicality, though both competitors were leaving everything in that ring. It was the story being told. Every time Jade hit a big move, she'd take a moment to stare at the championship, visualizing it around her waist. Every time the champion kicked out, you'd see Jade's jaw clench, not with frustration but with determination. This wasn't about proving people wrong anymore. This was about proving herself right. The near falls were absolutely heart-stopping. The champion hit her finish, the move that had ended countless title matches, and Jade kicked out at 2.9. The referee's hand was milliseconds from hitting 3. The champion couldn't believe it, the crowd couldn't believe it, and honestly, nobody watching could believe it. But Jade sat up, and the look in her eyes said everything. Not today. Not ever again. The champion pulled out everything, moves we'd never seen before, high-risk offense that was completely out of character, signs of desperation from someone who realized they were facing something unstoppable. She went to the top rope for a high-risk maneuver, and this is where everything changed. Jade caught her coming down, transitioned into her signature powerbomb, but instead of going for the cover, she pulled the champion back up. The crowd went absolutely insane because they knew what was coming. Jade lifted her opponent for Jaded, that devastating finisher, and drove her down with such force you could hear the impact in the cheap seats. 1, 2, 3. New champion. The arena absolutely erupted, and in that moment, every single person who doubted Jade Cargill had to confront the reality that they were wrong. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't protection. This wasn't booking. This was a legitimate, dominant, undeniable victory over one of the best in the world. Jade didn't just win the championship. She made a statement that will echo through the division for years to come. But here's what made the moment even more powerful. As Jade stood there with the championship, tears streaming down her face, you could see every ounce of struggle, every moment of doubt, every painful step of the journey reflected in her expression. This wasn't the cocky superstar from her first reign. This was a warrior who had been tested, who had failed, who had rebuilt herself from the ground up and claimed what was rightfully hers. The celebration wasn't arrogant. It was pure, raw, human emotion. The defeated champion, to her credit, showed incredible sportsmanship. After taking a moment to process the loss, she stood, walked over to Jade, and extended her hand. The crowd cheered as they shook hands, then embraced in the center of the ring. It was a moment of mutual respect between two absolute warriors who had just delivered something special. The champion raised Jade's arm, a symbolic passing of the torch, before leaving the ring to give the new champion her moment. What happens next is what everyone's talking about. Jade's second title reign begins under completely different circumstances than her first. Last time, she was an undefeated force who held the championship for over 500 days. This time, she's a proven comeback story with a target on her back. The challengers are already lining up, and they're not looking at an undefeated prospect anymore. They're looking at someone who's been beaten, and they think they can do it again. But that's exactly what makes this reign potentially even more compelling than the first. Jade has nothing left to prove in terms of overcoming adversity. She's already done that. Now she gets to prove she can sustain success, that she can be the champion who takes on all comers and remains standing. The division is stacked with talent, and every single one of them is going to want their shot at taking that title from Jade Cargill. The implications for the entire women's division are massive. Jade winning creates fresh matchups we've never seen before. It creates storylines that write themselves. It creates this aura of unpredictability because if Jade can come back from defeat to reclaim championship glory, what's stopping anyone else? The entire landscape just shifted, and the next few months are going to be absolutely unmissable. Social media exploded after the match, with wrestlers from multiple promotions congratulating Jade on the victory. Legends of the industry praised the performance. Fans who had been critical admitted they were wrong. The moment transcended the usual wrestling discourse and became something bigger, a genuine feel-good story about resilience and redemption that resonated with people far beyond the hardcore wrestling community. This is why we watch. Not just for the athleticism or the storylines, but for these authentic moments where someone achieves something that seemed impossible. Jade Cargill wasn't supposed to win this match according to the critics. She wasn't supposed to bounce back from losing her first title. She wasn't supposed to evolve beyond the limitations people placed on her. But she did all of it, and she did it in spectacular fashion. Her second championship reign officially begins now, and the question isn't whether she can handle the pressure. She's already proven that. The question is, how dominant will she be? How long can she hold on to that championship? Who will step up to challenge her? And most importantly, can anyone stop her? The hardcore highlights from this match are going to be replayed for years. Future documentaries about this era will feature this moment. Young wrestlers watching right now just saw proof that you can overcome anything if you're willing to put in the work. Jade Cargill just delivered a masterclass in perseverance, and her story is far from over. The championship looks perfect around her waist, but what's even more perfect is knowing that she earned every single moment of this victory. No shortcuts, no excuses, just pure determination and an unwillingness to accept defeat as her final chapter. Jade Cargill claimed her second title, and in doing so, she cemented her legacy as one of the most compelling figures in modern wrestling. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an incredible reign. If you're not already following this story, you're missing out on something special. Make sure you stay tuned because the Jade Cargill Championship era is about to reach heights we've never seen before, and trust me, you're going to want to witness every single moment of what comes next.